Have you ever borrowed money to buy something and then you eventually realize that you doesn't own it but the thing own you? I know that feeling because I've been there myself. In this video I try to explain you difference between the debt which help you build the asset and in debt which can quietly trap you. And hopefully it can make the difference before you sign that next finance agreement. And stick around till the end of the video because I share the biggest lesson I learned after paying off my own car loan. Is a lesson I wish I know a few years ago. Before I go any further in this video, I want to make one thing clear. I'm not banker, I'm not financial advisor, and I'm definitely not any of those gurus sitting next to rented Lamborghini tried to convince you by my curse. I'm just a normal guy like you, try to explain what I go through and how I think now about the debt. Maybe I'm wrong about some things, maybe you have different perspective, hopefully offer you different options when you will be signing that next finance agreement. Few years ago I signed a car loan to buy my own car. At first it felt normal, everybody finances a car these days, payment seems affordable and I was thinking I can make it. And at the beginning it felt honestly great. I have a car I want, I can drive whatever I wanted, it felt great. But then that different feeling eventually settled on. And after living with car payment for months and months, I realized something changed in me. I was stopped making financial decisions the way I wanted, but I always make financial decisions around that payment. Before I could treat myself, before I could save money, before I could do everything else, somebody else get paid first. And there was that little pressure on the back of my head, not because the payment was impossible, but because somebody else get paid first before I even decide to do something with my income. And then I realized the car wasn't giving me freedom, but was actually taking my future freedom quietly away from me each month by month. And then I decided to make decision that I have to make paid that loan earlier. So I start saving money really aggressively, I stop spending on everything else, and I clear that payment year before I should. And then it hit me. I was feeling way more calm because I know nobody claimed my future income anymore for me. Was over. Was that quiet feeling of freedom on the back of my chest, which is really hard to explain it if you don't experience it. Like the thing was over. And now I'm not saying all the debt is bad. Debt on the end of the day is just tool. It can be used good and can be used bad. And it's about you to decide how you use it. Before you ever get into any debt, you should ask yourself, does this debt help me to reach freedom or peace of mind which I'm looking for? Or I'm just basically building golden cage for myself? Good debt, example of good debt is debt would make you wealthier as the time progresses. I believe buying home, buying investment property, investing in business or investing in your education is good types of debt because you building the asset if you're buying property or you building your business which potentially brings you money, or with education it can double or triple up your earning just by going through it. So I believe this type of debt is debt which is worth going through. I have mortgage and my own experience with the mortgage is quite strange. I live in Dublin, Ireland, when the rents and mortgages are insanely high and insanely hard to get. So I'm proud myself I can get through. And I know with the first years of the mortgage, interest payments take huge chunk of it. So you pay huge amount of interest, but I'm thinking about it, still half of that payment go towards asset, towards equity which you build in that mortgage. So eventually as you progress in the mortgage, you actually building equity in the house and you start owning bigger and bigger part of the property. And even if you decide to sell the house, move or whatever, you still own the small asset of it or big asset, depends for how long you pay it, and you can actually make some money out of it. While on the other hand, if you pay just rent, you never will own nothing. You can stay in a rented apartment or a house, pay the rent for the rest of your life, and you will never ever own the place. And I understand by buying property on the mortgage, the profit is not guaranteed. House can break down, there is maintenance cost, there is cost of ownership, but I still believe in long term that's way better option than just paying rent for someone. Now I speak about the bad debt. The bad debt is usually something you get yourself in the debt for buying asset which steeply depreciate in the price. And I believe car loan is one of the top example in all this. And it's not only car depreciating in the value, but you as well pay interest on top of it. So if the car cost 50,000, you pay maybe 10,000 on top of interest, plus you dealing each year with depreciation of a car. So you might end up paying something like 60,000 on the car, which once you end up paying is worth 20,000, which I truly believe is terrible investment. The only one way I will make car as a good investment is if you have business which rely on you having a car. In this case, car is making you money, so I believe it's good investment. But if you're buying just to show up, I really believe that's a silly financial decision. Another example of bad debt is buying holidays on credit card, buying things you absolutely don't need just to impress people around you, or try to upgrading your lifestyle before you actually could upgrade your lifestyle. The problem of borrowing money is that your future self have to pay for the things you decide to buy today. So your future self have to work hard, and you basically promising to work or make the money in the future to pay what you get today. And I believe this is the cage what nobody sees. So when you finance something, you're not just buying the items, but what you're really buying is a years of future payment. And every future payment limit your opportunities in the future. You want to save money for something really important? You have a payment. Eventually you realize that what you think you own actually owns your future decisions. And that's what I mean when I speak about the golden cage. From the outside, it looks good, but in reality, you actually inside that cage. Now I want to speak a little about the part how do banks create the money, because this thing is really interesting and I think very few of us actually knows it. Loads of people around us actually think that bank works in the way when somebody goes there, some granny deposit the money and you ask for a loan, you actually get that money off them. But that's not how modern banking works. When bank approve loans, what they actually do is they create new deposit through the lending process. And that doesn't mean that bank can create unlimited money whatever they want. They still have to abide by regulation, central bank regulation, capital requirements and many other rules I don't really know about it. But we all need to know that lending is one of the best way for banks to actually make the money. When they create the loans, they charge interest on top of that loans, and this is actually net profit for the banks. On the end of the day, banks don't borrow money just because they want to be nice. They are business first, and they require to be profitable in order to run their business. And now if the thought in your head get, how can private or publicly owned entity have that much power to create money almost out of thin air? I don't know if is it correct, if is it not. To be honest, I believe that's way above my pay grade. But instead of complaining about it or seeing it as unfair, I highly encourage you for just accept it how it is and learn how to play game around it. So when you borrow the money, banks are always profitable. You cannot not make them profitable. But the secret in this is, am I borrowing money to create profit or something in the future for myself as well, or I will actually lose money on the transaction? So ask yourself this question before you sign that finance agreement. And now, I'm not here to tell you that you should never borrow money ever again, but what I try to do with this, I try to more encourage you to think more selfishly when you borrow the money, if I could say, about yourself. Is it that loan help me to build asset, help me to improve my life, give me more freedom? Or am I just trapping myself in that golden cage? Mortgage can help you build ownership. Business can help you to create income. Education can help you to increase your future opportunities of making bigger money. So don't borrow because everybody else is doing it. Don't borrow because you want to impress the people, they probably don't even care about you. And don't borrow definitely because you have just hard emotion, you need to get something. Try to borrow because it moves your life forward. Because when you sign that agreement, you are not just buying something, you're committing a piece of your future income. And your future self has to deal with that decision. So choose wisely. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any different thoughts or idea about I See the Debt, write me them in the comments below and see you in the next one.